With our last 4 weeks, we've been dealing with how God is unfolding his vision, his purpose.
Every Sunday, Pastor Philip Kayser preaches the Word of God. Outside the church, though, this cleric turns capitalist, running a scheme called Need a Home, Need a Loan, convincing battlers, often with bad credit histories, that they too can achieve the dream of home ownership.
I've lost my home and I'm going to be evicted in 2 weeks and got nowhere to go.
He is raking in a fortune.
For single mothers Sharon Lord and Sue Yulhorn, Pastor Phil's rent to buy or vendor finance scheme is a proven disaster. Promised the great Australian dream in a slick sales pitch, both buyers are now months in arrears. They've lost their deposits, mortgage repayments and all hope of ever owning these homes.
You know, I can't go and live in my car with my kids.
How big is the risk?
The risk is if they don't pay, they're going to lose.
Everything?
Yes.
But that's not how the scheme is pitched at the outset. Pastor Phil's glossy brochures and colourful outlines promising 100% finance, bad credit finance, finance almost guaranteed. It's a variation of the rent-to-buy or RAP blueprint hawked around since the 1970s, cashing in on battlers desperate to own a piece of Australia.
You'll see everything from signs on telegraph poles saying own your own house to advertisements in the rental sections of the newspapers saying why rent when you can buy.
Real estate crusader Neil Genman has campaigned for years to outlaw the rent-to-buy systems, believing if battlers can't afford conventional mortgage repayments, many will crumble under the pressure of the extra 2, 3, even 4% interest charged on these loans.
Until such time as they're banned, you're still going to see hundreds or thousands of people caught up in these schemes.
Here's how they work. Investors like Pastor Phil buy a house. Sharon pays the pastor a deposit, moves in, then pays him weekly amounts, comprising mortgage and rent, plus extra charges, insurance, water and council rates. The idea is after 7 years, Sharon will have enough in her mortgage component as a deposit on a conventional bank loan to then buy the house. But there's a nasty catch. Not only is the interest higher than the standard banks, Sharon isn't listed as the homeowner on the house title. Despite paying the rates and mortgage, she has no rights to the house whatsoever. And as Sue found out, if you default, you're out. Why is it that people like Sue don't get their initial deposit back and the portions of their repayments that constitute mortgage repayments?
The same reason in a bank situation, that if you don't pay, the bank doesn't refund all of its costs or anything like that.
She's been refunded zero.
Exactly right.
After more than 3 years of skimping on food and clothing for her kids, Sue Yulhorn leaves her rent-to-buy dream home with nothing. She has less rights than a tenant. Little hope of recourse, as her name was never on the title.
I've got 5 children. I'm out on the street. Where am I going to go?
Forced to hand back her keys to this man, Philip Goodman, the legal owner of her home, who was introduced to the vendor finance scheme by Pastor Phil Kayser.
I've already put, I reckon, $65,000 into this home. If I'm renting the property, why am I paying rates?
Because you're actually buying the property.
But that's not what he said.
If the buyer defaults, it's better for the owner of the properties because then they get to keep their deposit, which was normally the first homeowner's grant. They get to keep all the payments they've made them and they get to start again with another victim.
Pastor Phil admits to owning at least 20 of these homes, claiming 5 or 6 success stories over the past 4 years, but admitting to just as many failures. And do you believe this is an ethical thing to do?
Because it helps people on both ends, yes.
Does it help you more or does it help people
it helps
like...
both. There's no question.
Everyone wins.
It should win if the payments are made.
But it doesn't take much for families to succumb to the hefty repayment schedule. Then there's unexpected illness, job loss or the rising cost of living pressures. Now 7 months in arrears, Sharon Lord knows she'll spend the rest of her life on the rental roundabout.
I don't know how much more I can actually take.
Thank you so much.